Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are Carolina Conservatives Preachers with a Punch. We welcome you back to the next episode that we have here of some uncensored, unfiltered talk that we are going to be presenting here today. And man, do we have we just got so much stuff that is happening that we don't even know where to begin a lot of times. But there is, not a lack of anything that we can really bring up to talk about. And so, folks, if you want some unfiltered, unashamed approach to what is happening right now and tying it to the Word of God and in context of what we are seeing here in what we believe to be the last days, then this is the place for you. And we welcome you here once again with us and joining hands with us again. I'm Dr. Nathan Street.
And I'm Pastor Mashburn. It's always a great opportunity to come before you and do these podcasts. A lot of times we take time to interview guests, and we've done some of that, but we've gotten calls in our campaign said, put out more podcasts. That's what raised your profile. That's what got us on to you. So we feel the same way. It's just a matter of time. And so it's a great opportunity to come back with you.
Pastor, I do have a question for you. And this has been something that has been on my mind for some time. Of course, you're in North Carolina. I'm in South Carolina. And just recently, you're the one that sent me that South Carolina's legislature is, everybody knows that South Carolina, well, maybe not everybody knows, but we'll just put it out there and make sure that everybody knows, is South Carolina is the most liberal red state in the United States. And you sent me where South Carolina is just barely above Hawaii in the way that it governs and the liberality with which it governs. So what in the world? I mean, we've got North Carolina legislature that doesn't even want to take up the abortion issue. South Carolina legislature, who has a supermajority like North Carolina of Republicans, can't even get the constitutional carry for guns out of the judicial committee here in South Carolina, which should pass overwhelmingly and be supported by most everyone in this state. We can't even get that passed, let alone the abortion issue passed. Governor McMaster here is saying, send me something on abortion that I can sign. And the liberal Republicans here can't get their act together. What is it going to take, Pastor, to get Republicans in North and South Carolina to wake up and take on the approach that Florida has?
I'm not certain they will wake up because evidently they're compromised. You have to consider that. You got the party faithful, those who look at the party like the institution of the ages. And while they may be faithful to that, they may never be faithful to the party platform that we stand on, which I totally don't get. Just like you have Christians in our churches who are not believers, you have Republicans in our parties who are not patriots. And I think we have to come down to that reality because it's very true. So if you're compromising, then more than out, you are compromised. And that's sad to say. And that's a big statement. But listen, I see these signs everywhere that says, I stand with Ukraine. And I just want to say, how about standing for America? How about standing with your own country?
That's right.
Ukraine, and I'll go on record saying this, folks, Ukraine is the biggest money laundering scheme I've ever seen of the ages. And if you can't see that, your discernment level is -6. We have got to wake up in this country. And this just goes to prove that the politicians, they're not going to help us save anything. They're not going to vote the way they want, that we want them to, or stay on the party platform. And I've said this over and over in North Carolina. Why and how could we censure Tom Tillis when there are people here among our own ranks who do not abide by our party platform? The party platform should be, and I'm using this term very carefully, it should be our Biblios, our Bible for the party that we must go by. And so either your loyalty is to America and your state and the United States Constitution and your state constitution, or it's loyal to someone else. So that begs the question.
Well, here's what it comes down to. And I think that we've got to get to the point, and let's just make no bones about this, y'all. And I want to say something about Ukraine as well. But let's just come down to this. I think the reason why we primarily support Republicans is because they are the closest to what we believe as conservatives.
I'm a Republican because of the platform.
Right, exactly. They have the best chance of being salvageable. Let's put it that way too. I think the Democrats have been completely hijacked by leftist socialists, progressives who are hell-bent on seeing the country destroyed. That they have no allegiance to the Constitution. They have no allegiance to Americanism at all. They have no allegiance to American ideals. They are out to destroy the foundations of this country and Christendom. And so that is the reason why we don't go along with Democrats at all. But let's just be clear on something, that we have been suckered, I believe, and more as we go along, I am believing this more and more, that we have been suckered by our government overlords into believing that we are so far apart, and in some cases we are so far apart, but that we are so far apart that we have to be fighting one another when it's actually Republicans and Democrats, I'm increasingly believing, are two wings on the same bird or two sides of the same coin. And we are in a war, folks, whether we like it or not, with elites versus everyone else. The elites want to maintain their power, and we're seeing it with Republicans and Democrats both. Elites in North Carolina legislature, South Carolina legislature, in the United States from both parties want to maintain their power and maintain their prestige and their money so that the rest of us have to just continue to toil away for them and they be able to tell us whatever they want to do. And that's what we're seeing even developing in this country, but also with Ukraine, which I agree with you that Ukraine is nothing but a black hole of money that I believe is being laundered. I can't prove it, but I believe is being laundered for the Democrat Party, and that it's being utilized to give everybody a handout to their, to their faithful, to their willing accomplices. That was all a part of Burisma and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, the big guy, and getting all of this getting all of the money wherever they spread it around, wherever they want it to go, they're getting it there. And I think that we have the Mitch McConnells of the world too, and the Mitt Romneys of the world that are also getting handouts from this, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, that I believe this is the reason why they war hawk this all the time, and they want us to go over and fight in Ukraine, which we are now finding out we have actual Americans on the ground fighting over there, which is totally illegal. There has been no war declaration here. It's illegal, and we are shedding American resources on that.
This makes me so angry because Ukraine is just a channel that we send money through that we never see anymore. We have and by the way, Ukraine is not the 51st state.
Amen.
It is not our job to go over there and coddle them or cuddle them or anything like that. We have people over here suffering from record inflation, highest in over 40 years. Yes. I have a family of 6, and I'm not going to reveal what we live on every year, but I'm a pastor. We do not make 6 figures, and I'm going to say this. It is record inflation for us.
Yes.
One trip to the grocery store, and we've blown $450. And we raise a lot of our food. But let me tell you something. And then you've got these politicians who are sucking on the teats of the government and trying to get out there and relate to us. The political operatives who've been in there 30 years or whatever, the politicians who just keep going, they're career politicians, and they put on their Carhartt jeans and they get out there with a over and under shotgun and take some photos with a dog and try to be one of us. Listen, they don't want people like me or people like Mark Robinson or people like anyone else to try to gain any traction with you, the voters.
Right.
Because it's about the elite system. It's about the elites. And let me tell you something, that's biblical, that's prophetic. Mm-hmm. Going into the book of Revelation, it is said, the Lord will say in the future, touch not the oil and the wine, speaking directly of the elite system. And that's prophetic that they will say that. On down, it says also that the leaders and the captains and the elites, if you will, that's a 21st century word for archaic language, it is said that they will seek to run and to get away from the fear of God and the judgment of God, and even cry, "Mountains, will you please fall on us to hide us from the face of God?" So yes, and that's prophetic. Everything is in the hand of God, and he's culminating everything in according to his prophetic plan. But nevertheless, we as believers are told to occupy until he comes. And so we should occupy. The elite consistently want to push you down and point you in the direction that is free and clear from the threat of their own power.
And I'm going to make this plea to everyone that's listening, all of our regular listeners. I want you to share this episode particularly with a liberal friend, somebody who is a little more on the left, because I want to make a plea to the left in this country, to the liberals. We can have conversations with liberals. We can't have conversations with people who want to destroy us, the progressive leftists who want to destroy us, who want to destroy our way of life, and who want to destroy our faith. But those who are liberal, we are asking you to join with us, because we've got to put a stop to this. The poor out there, when our government is able to give billions, trillions of dollars to a country that we probably will never even see, and we have starving people in this country who are barely making ends meet, when our country is able to give that kind of money away, and people over here who have been saving for their entire lives, and their mortgages are going to get increased, their mortgage rates are going to get increased because they happen to have good credit, while they cut the mortgage rates for those who have squandered all their money and has lived haphazardly. That's happening as of May 1st in this country. And they're pouring money over into Ukraine, and have no oversight at all as to where it is going. Do you honestly think African Americans, those who have historically voted for Democrats, do you honestly think that Joe Biden and Barack Obama and the Democrat Party have your best interests at heart when they are in control right now and are sending money hand over fist, taking care of pensions of Ukrainians, when you are probably going without a pension yourself and can't get help? Do you think they're in this for you? Wake up. They are not in this for you. We've got to come together and make sure that we vote together and get people in there who are not going to do this garbage and who are going to be out to take care of you. You may hate Donald Trump. You may absolutely abhor him. But here's one thing you cannot deny, is that he did not get us into a war. He did not ship money hand over fist into other countries. He actually cut it off. And he didn't even take a salary himself while he was in as president. Now tell me that he didn't go against what the elites in this country are looking to do. Folks, we've got to get beyond what the media are feeding us, because they want to stay in control as well. They're a part of this elitist system as well. We've got to get beyond that.
Yeah, and the very evidence of that is that just to look at how much they hated him for it. He was never supposed to be president.
No.
And we don't say or believe that Trump is our savior. The Lord is our savior.
Absolutely.
But God used Donald Trump. And I'll say that God granted us mercy during that time as a country in many ways. But one thing you cannot deny is that you didn't vote for his personality, his life. You didn't vote for any of that. But I tell you, based on his job performance, I'd put him back in there in a heartbeat, because he's exactly what we need. Now, they're rising stars, and thank God for that. We're not endorsing anyone. We're just basing on a job performance that we know of.
look, everybody that's going to be like, oh, yeah, but Ron DeSantis. I love me some Ron DeSantis. I wish South Carolina and North Carolina was like Florida, honest to goodness. I mean, what is happening there, I am not opposed to Ron DeSantis. And if he becomes the nominee, I'll get behind him. If Nikki Haley becomes the nominee, I'll get behind her, because there, at least Tim Scott becomes the nominee, I'll get behind him, because at least we've got a better shot with them than we have with Grandpa drooling Biden in the White House. I mean, I'm just telling you, because he's a puppet and he's being used by whoever's in control. But folks, listen, it's not that. I want someone, the man or the woman who they are trying to destroy the most, who they are turning over every law, turning over every rock. They are coming after this man with the full force of the FBI and the DOJ. That man who they do not want this badly in office is exactly the man I want in office. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, because I'm not going to pull any punches. We don't do that here. I hope he goes in and wrecks Washington to its very foundations. We need a bull in a china shop. We do not need a scalpel right now. We need a bull in a china shop, and he is just the bull that we need, who's going to go in and tear the place from limb to limb until it can be rebuilt back in the way that the founders intended it to be built. Because this bastardization of what we have right now is a mess. And we can't continue on this way with the FBI coming against conservatives and against Christians, the DOJ refusing to prosecute anybody that does, as long as you got a D after your name, they're not going to prosecute you. We can't continue like this, because this is not the way America was intended to be. You may disagree with what I have to say. Like, I disagree, Pastor, with the Uhuru black socialists. I totally disagree with what the black socialists believe. Totally disagree. But do you know that Biden and his DOJ and the FBI just arrested their leader because they stood up against us sending money to Ukraine instead of helping our own people? You know what? I agree wholeheartedly with him on that. And even though that I abhor 99% of what the man says and believes in, I stand today with the Uhuru black socialist, because our government is trying to shut them up when that is not what we do in this country. We allow freedom of speech, and it is time that we stand against this censorship. I may hate what you got to say. You may hate what I got to say, but we've got to lock arms and lock hands and start standing up for one another and our rights to say what we believe and what we think. And I stand with the Uhuru black socialists today. I stand with them and believe that they need to say what they want to say and how they want to say it. 100%.
Yeah, they have First Amendment rights. You appeal to the liberals. Let me do the same thing. And I'm running for office, so let me talk to the liberals who are not wanting and desiring to be classified with the progressive left. Okay, you have talked about for years about everyone has the opportunity, or should have the opportunity, and should have the right to free ideas and freedom of speech and differing of opinion.
Yes.
Well, I may not be liberal. I'm certainly not going to agree. Most of the time, we're not going to agree. But according to our Constitution, you have the right to believe and to speak out and to stand for the way that you do. You have got to become activated. I'm not saying you have to come over to the right. I'm not saying you have to change your ideals. That'd be great. But I'm saying that you have to fight for your future as well, because they're against you. They don't represent you, then they're against you. Amen. They're going after Donald Trump, but we're all representative. He's a representative man of us all. Do you not think if they're going after him, the progressive left going after him so hard, that they wouldn't be above of checking voter rolls and checking like that and going after people who actually voted for him or even spoke out in support and may not have voted for him, but was against the progressive left and their harsh and their far left agenda? So we're in a unprecedented waters in the United States, and it's a terrible time if we allow this to continue. Now, what we've got to realize is that they make us feel like they're the majority. The reason why, because they have full control of the media. They're everywhere, and the media makes them look so big. But in reality, we are the majority.
Right.
And we have to stand. Now, we may not have NBC and Fox News and all that. And yes, I included Fox News because it depends on how the wind's blowing on how they're going to report. But you've got to understand that we have no choice in this country. If you enjoy America, if you love America, then you're going to have to stand up for America.
Amen. Even if you don't, if you're one of these liberals that thinks America is flawed fundamentally, do you think that you're going to be able to continue to say those words much longer? If they're stopping us, trying to stop the conservatives from saying what we believe, don't you think you're next? That if you've got something critical to say against this government, any government, listen, if a Democrat administration is allowed to pull this off, don't you think a Republican administration, when they get in, if they want to hoard all this power, are going to be able to stop you from saying what you want to say to liberals? You better start waking up and realize that we are in this together. Yeah. Look, I do not want any of my children to grow up to be like Donald Trump. Let's just be honest. I don't want, except for maybe being wealthy and successful, but I don't want them to grow up to be like him much at all. But one thing that I do want is for my children not to be beholden to anybody like he is. I don't want them to be beholden to anyone. And he is, folks, look, the reason why I think most conservatives really like him is because he does say what he wants. He does go against the government. He is not who the elites want. He is us. He represents us and what we want. Even you liberals, he is representing you, even though you might not can stand him. If Barack Obama was like that, if he had done those same things, I would be appreciative of the man for standing up for me. But he didn't. He's an elitist. And so was George W. Bush. I mean, let's just be honest with you. The Bushes are elitists too. Folks, look, we've got to get beyond party, and we have got to get to the point to where we open our eyes and see what this is all about. It is you and me who are up against the people with the money and the power, and that they are going to try to keep their money and their power. And that's what it's all about. And they're going to keep doing it through Ukraine. They're going to keep pushing things through Ukraine. They're going to keep weaponizing the DOJ and the Department of Homeland Security to keep us subdued and keep us in line. And now they're going to try to start taking over our food supplies and all that stuff. Don't you think it's kind of odd that some of these dairies and some of these chicken processing plants have been on fire all across the country and the media don't say a word about it?
Right.
Folks, it's all planned. We have got to start standing together and stop falling for everything that this corrupt media and this corrupt government, who is bought and paid for by China, is willing to feed us. We don't eat it anymore. We need to start standing together. Democrats, Republicans, libertarians, unaffiliated. We have to stand, because this country is the last place that we've got to be able to say what we want to say. And I will stand for you saying what you want to say, regardless of whether I agree with it or not. I hope you would do the same for me.
Absolutely. That we have got to band together. We're citizens. We may have differing backgrounds. We may have differing cultures. We may have differing opinions, but I'll fight for you to have the ability to voice those opinions, even though I disagree with it. You know, all of this became visible for us. I won't say it started, because it started much beyond that. It became visible for us in COVID, the shutdown, the giving away of free money, and money is never free. It always comes from something, somewhere. It comes from you, the taxpayer. But here's the point. They were trying to devalue the dollar. They were trying to cause massive inflation. When Trump came in, he had inflation. He was finishing his term. It was record low inflation. And you know what that proved was a businessman can go in and manage the largest corporation in the world, which is the United States federal government. and a businessman can make better choices than a politician. That's one reason why they hate him so bad. He went in there and whatever they said that could not be done because he didn't want to be done, he actually did it and was making us a profit, if you will, as shareholders in the corporation of the federal government.
Perfectly said.
And then you've got the Ukrainian situation that immediately money started to be flowing, and it just never has stopped. And every other month, Biden is wanting to send billions and billions of dollars over there. And it's doing nothing but damaging our economy. It's deflating the dollar. And the threat is real that the dollar is about to be taken off the international stage. And let me tell you something, that has unprecedented and massive consequences for us as a nation when that is done. The entire international monetary system has been based on the solidarity of the dollar. And if we lose that as a country, we lose a massive edge.
And it's going to be the Great Depression will have nothing on how it's going to be on us at that point. Folks, listen, we're about out of time on this episode, but listen, we have got to come together and understand what is happening in our country and how this is all playing into Bible prophecy. These things we know are going to happen. This should not catch any Christian by surprise. We knew this sort of stuff is going to happen. We've been forewarned, and now it's time for us to be forearmed. And listen, some of the things that we have said on this podcast, go all over the place. Call us agents of Russia all you want to. Putin sympathizers. I don't know the man. Don't care for the man. I hope he gets saved. What I do care for is the United States and the garbage that is being perpetrated on us from Washington by these leftist idiots that keep trying to sell us down the river. And I'm not going to stand for it. Be honest with you, if Russia did take over Ukraine, that's not our problem. I'm sorry to say that, but it's not. It's Europe's problem. And Europe needs to step up and take care of its own. And folks, it's time for us, United States, to put America back first again. We need America first policies. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. I kind of like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., to be honest with you. I disagree with a lot of what he says. Do you know what? He's a Democrat that is not afraid to go against his own party. And I believes in America and is standing with America. And for that, I'll stand with Robert F. Kennedy and say thank you very much for being an American first and a Democrat second. We've got to be Americans first. We've got to be Christians first, then Americans, and then we can have party affiliation at that point. But folks, I'm going to be affiliated with Jesus Christ first and foremost. And listen, we want you to come on and be affiliated with us. You like what we do here? Then you need to support Pastor Mashburn in his quest for lieutenant governor. I know he'll put North Carolinians first. You need to come on and support us with Carolina conservatives. Be a part of this movement that we are out there just giving everything that we can to ensure that we put America and North Carolina and South Carolina now first, right here on Carolina Conservatives. We thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Dr. Nathan Street.
I'm Pastor Alan Mashburn. Always a joy to come into your life and perhaps make it even better, make you more informed. But I hope that we call you to action specifically for your nation. Your nation needs you. Your state needs you. Moreover, your children and grandchildren need you. Please answer the call. God bless you, and thank you for joining us.